Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Progressive Overload podcast. Have you ever thought about strengthening multiple areas of your life at the same time? Then you've come to the right place. Our goal is to help you identify ways that you might need a progressive overload to break through those plateaus and keep you growing. What's up, Progressive Overload family? Welcome back to Studio Whatever this is. We're so glad to have you today. Thank you for tuning in this wonderful Tuesday or whatever day you're listening and listening to hear us talk about why Christians don't skip leg day. Sitting next to my two best friends in the whole wide world, Mr. Tyson Burwell and Dustin Moore.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to miss y'all's voice when I move.
Best friends in the whole wide world.
Yeah. In whole Jack County. Y'all are my best friends.
All of Jack County.
In all of Jack County. Well,
I'm just joking. The whole world. Y'all are special to me. Dude, so
you're special to us too.
As we thank you. As we talk about leg day, there's some pretty exciting or news in the fitness world that came out this week that I wanted to discuss with you guys as a preface to leg day.
Okay.
Do y'all know who Brett Contreras is?
No.
No. Have you heard of Brett?
No idea.
So Brent Contreras has been termed the glute king or the glute doctor. He's the kind of a fitness personality. I think he does have his PhD in exercise physiology. He claims to have invented the hip thrust. So you know the glute bridge hip thrust that people are doing like crazy these days, where people are loading up with like 400s of pounds and stuff like that. So his claim has always been that the hip thrust is king for glute activation, and so that's always been his. I mean, celebrities, anybody who wants to go to build their glutes, they go to this guy.
I see.
So that's who he is. He's Dr. Brett Contreras. I think he's a doctor. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But he and one other doctor funded a massive study that compared a group of beginner exercisers, and half of them did a hip thrust only, and half of them did a barbell squat only.
Wow. And
they measured gluteus maximus development.
I see.
And guess who was proven wrong?
Yeah, squats are king, bro.
Squats are king. Brett Contreras is out.
Yeah.
No, he's not out. So he very humbly came out to the public and said, I was wrong about this. And basically, I mean, the people that did the hip thrust still gained plenty of muscle.
Sure.
It's a great exercise. But I was really actually impressed with the way he handled it. Like, shows character. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I just thought that if you're in the fitness world and you know who Brent Contreras is, it was a pretty big deal that he came out and said, I was wrong, because he's been standing on that hill for a long time.
Yeah, well, you don't know until you get the hard data.
Yeah.
And then when you admit you're wrong, it shows, like I said, it shows character.
It's true.
Good for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, the squat, man,
king.
It's the king of leg day.
It is.
I mean, it's been that way for years.
Mm-hmm.
You think about it, there's muscle activation in total, especially in my opinion, the low bar squat is probably the king.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So as we talk about leg day, let's dive into it. Let's talk about it first. Start off with a couple reasons. Why do y'all think people skip leg day?
Weak.
Yeah, they're less than me.
Weak-minded.
No.
Yeah, actually, I would accredit the weakness to come to a mental game. Honestly, I can see where physically it's taxing to go through a leg day workout.
Absolutely.
Leg day happens to be my favorite workout. Yeah. Mainly because I'm so strong in my legs.
Yeah. Naturally.
So it's a little different.
Yeah.
Visually for me, but I can see where somebody who lacks that and just continues to push themselves in that area, it can be pretty intense.
Yeah. Yeah.
For me, I think leg day gets skipped a lot just because of the after effects too. I mean, holy cow, you're sore. I'll never forget when I first started lifting though, and the day after hitting like your first few squats and you can't walk up the stairs.
Yeah.
You can't get off a toilet.
Sore. Yeah.
And you're thinking, why do people do this to themselves? Those after effects are terrible too.
Yeah. Well, even now, like we're all seasoned lifters. We've been lifting for a long time.
I'm sore today.
I'm really sore right now from hitting legs hard. I mean, it's just, that's what Progressive Overload does is constantly keeps you pushing past those. Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's a good point. The after effects, especially with the soreness, leg day compared to like an upper body day. You know, if I lift and I'm sore in my upper body, but I get up and go to work the next day.
Yeah.
So long as I'm not, you know, lifting and moving tons and tons of heavy stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would really notice as much versus my legs, which I
Right.
use for everything.
Right.
I notice that when I get out of bed.
Exactly.
You
Yep,
know?
yep.
Yeah.
And so maybe the after effects feel more consequential.
Yeah. Just go ahead.
Leg day's pretty hard, but I've told y'all my secret to falling in love with it.
You just got to change your relationship
It's
with
just
it.
changing your relationship with it and embracing the grind.
I
You know,
love squats.
Even today, yesterday morning, I was hitting my squats, and the first thing I said when I touched the bar was, "I love squats."
I love squats. Just changing the
And then
mindset,
I
dude.
hit it,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just a hard workout. I mean, there's really no other way around it. Like, you can go in the gym and you can kind of beat around the bush and you can do some leg press every once in a while.
Mhm.
You can go through your upper body days, and they're just fun because you get to see the pump, you see your biceps and your triceps poking out. But leg workouts are just freaking hard, especially when you're in a body part split and you're doing a day that's solely
All legs.
you know. And
Yeah.
those workouts just suck. Like, I get nauseous after a hard leg day.
I mean, we've had some pretty hard leg days here in the last couple of weeks where, and you've seen it working out with me. We've actually had a chance to work out together, which has been nice.
It has been nice.
Where I'll hit a movement and then we'll do a stretch or something, and then when I stand up, my legs are physically shaking, and
That's
I'm
a
like,
good
all right,
workout.
Oh, I love it.
all right, Joe, what do we have next? And it's like, all right, so we're hitting this, this, and this. I was like, wait, that's three. It's three different things.
I think
Yeah, good stuff.
I think too though, women versus men skipping leg days. I
Ooh,
bet
good
you
point.
would find a lot of a difference there.
Absolutely, there is
My-
a difference.
My wife would hit legs 3 days a week, 4 days a week if she could. But I think it goes back to goals, what you were just talking about
Yeah,
with
yeah.
like the glute master, these celebrities going. Those aren't dudes going up to trying to increase
No.
their butt size.
No.
These are all women.
It's
you
all
know,
women.
where most dudes that are in the gym, what do you see them want to do?
Chest.
I want to get my chest. I want to get
Yeah.
my arms big. Right?
Yep.
It's the glamour of it.
100%.
And I think that's a big part of it too.
Yeah, and women are just naturally weak upper body stuff. So, of course, they're going to be inclined to go and do things that they are naturally better at.
Good at you.
Yeah, and so, yeah, it's just part
So
of it.
I'm going to show my inexperience here in posing this question. In regards to, like, if I'm doing upper body, even though it's upper body, like my pecs have different portions of muscle. My
Right.
buys have different portions.
Right.
Is it the same thing with legs, or is it just a major muscle group? Because I feel like to
Right.
some extent, and I've done this before, where I've hit arms a couple days in a row, but I've hit different portions
Right,
of the
right.
buys and didn't feel as taxed.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So, yeah, just like if you're going to do a bench press, you're going to be using mainly chest, shoulders, and triceps. Just like a squat. Squat isn't just a quad exercise.
Sure.
You're using quads, you're using your glutes, you're using hamstrings, you're using everything. And it's a funny question you ask that because y'all know I coach mostly full body workouts.
Yeah.
And so when I it's a common question for my clients. They're like, why don't we do more legs? And it's typically just because whenever I'm doing legs, I don't do a whole ton of isolation stuff. I might do a leg extension or a hamstring curl every once in a while, but most of the time we're doing the big deadlifts, squats, hip thrusts,
Compound
stuff like that,
movements.
compound movements. And so we might hit 2 or 3 compound movements, but the rest of it we're working on chest, shoulders, triceps, biceps, all the other different small parts of the upper body. Yeah. Anyways. Do you have anything else on that, Tyson?
Good question. How come cows never skip leg day?
How come cows? Oh, I don't know.
We got to keep up with their calves.
They got to keep up with their calves. Oh, see, you're just practicing those dad jokes.
Zach.
They're coming around.
Hey,
know.
listen, I'm impressed.
Yeah,
That impressed
very
me.
good. That's pretty good.
Adam would be proud.
He would be.
Yeah. Another reason people do it is just because leg exercises, like our compound ones, they just take a lot of practice. And very few people can come off the streets with no experience and hop under a bar and go for a heavy leg day.
Oh yeah, and like I think I'm a a perfect example of that, because you know how resistant I was at first to doing barbell squat.
Yeah.
Because I felt so uncomfortable, and I wouldn't say uncomfortable. I felt intimidated by the bar.
Right. Right.
And now, like you've seen me do squat day, like
Favorite thing, right?
just walk in. And it's like, all right, let's get it.
Yeah. Just get under and go.
And but it took practice for me to get to that comfortability of it. And I can see where that would be something that's off-putting. Maybe.
Right. I think one of the other reasons too, though, is when you first walk into the gym, if you're not having like a high motivation day, and you're just there trying to go through the motions, the last thing you want to do is load up a barbell with 400 pounds or whatever you're doing. That's it's heavy for you, and you're just wanting to go through the motions. You're not wanting to go super heavy. So but still get a workout, you have to put some weight on there.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes that's kind of the key. Why arms, you can just pick up some dumbbells and do some smaller movements, and then you're still getting a workout in.
Right.
Sure.
It's a true test of I guess your motivation or your commitment levels.
Discipline.
And I can see where experience plays a key factor in that, because for me, there's a difference between me going in and knocking out like some dumbbell chest press, where if I get in a bind or don't feel like I can do it, what do? I just drop the weight.
Yeah.
Right.
Versus me, even with deadlift, right? Like if I'm struggling and I'm like, I can't get this up, I drop it.
Right.
But if I'm on squat,
You're underneath it.
I'm underneath it.
Yeah.
There's a little bit more pressure with that.
Sure.
And perhaps also with bench press, although personally I feel a little more comfortable bailing on a bench press than I do a squat.
Right.
And that's experience too.
It's just not fun to fall to your knees. I just don't enjoy it. It's not a fun thing to do,
No.
especially when you're in a gym of crowded
It's
people and everybody just saw you fail that lift.
I know.
And the other thing, I guess, to that would be if you're not comfortable and mentally you're like, I really wish I had a spotter for this, but you don't, or there's somebody there and you're too intimidated, or you know, whatever the factor is to say, hey, can you spot me for this?
Right.
I can see that would be a factor to steer one away.
For sure.
Yeah.
So I hear this last point a lot, typically from not like old people, but just kind of what I put here is like 40 plus. Like Adam, for example, he could be one. Like he tends to skip the heavy leg stuff because he says it's not enough reward for the risk. So some people can skip their leg days because they're just afraid of injuring their knees or afraid of injuring their back or something like that. And so that's a big reason to do it. But I think, and I've told Adam this before, like if you wanted to go through the work and get good at these movements before you load them up, you can do them perfectly safe. It's just about how you approach it and how smart you are about it.
Well, as a seasoned lifter, I'll say the times that I've skipped leg day is not because I injured myself in the gym. It's an injury that happened during my sport or something else.
Right.
And so, if something's going on with my knees or whatever, that's whenever I skip leg day.
Yeah.
That being said, for the fear of getting injured in the gym, my solution then is just change the lift. You don't have to do one of these high complex type of movements that are underneath the bar. There's plenty of other movements that you can do, even just body weight stuff.
Yeah. So what are some good low risk, high reward type substitution exercises for leg day?
Well, for me, especially from a therapy standpoint, I love the leg press. Yeah. Just because you're not, it's not equivalent to a squat.
No.
But at the same time, you still get the activation of the quads, the glutes, and it's still a compound movement.
Yeah.
So I've seen a really popular, just to build off of this and ask this question, I've seen a really popular image that's floating around on social media where when you're doing leg press, the positioning of your feet changes activation.
It's true.
Yeah, you can point your toes out a little bit. They're called VMO squats or VMO leg press. It's just going to target the vastus medialis oblique a little bit more. And
so I can definitely see, like, from a therapy point of view, and even for just like I've done leg press and hit a couple sets in one position, adjusted my feet so that I'm kind of getting a little more activation somewhere else, hit another couple sets.
Yeah, sure.
So I stand by the leg press.
If you're too scared to hop in and just go do some deadlifts or something like that, hex bar deadlifts are much safer. Especially on the lower back. and you can get great strength gains and muscle gains from them. So I think that's a really, really good low risk, high reward option. You're not don't be bragging everybody, telling everybody you deadlifted 400 and something pounds when it was your
hex bar
deadlift. That's different.
It's different.
But as far as a good exercise, it's a great one. Split squats are a great. I love unilateral stuff for older people because it gets that balance. They're having to balance on one leg. They're getting a lot of good leg activation, and it's a lot. You don't have to load it quite as much to get that activation.
Those things with the word Bulgarian.
Any just like foreign exercise, if it has Bulgarian or Russian or Romanian, you're like, oh, this is gonna suck.
A fun one that I had to do as a part of one of our workouts not too long ago was actually a heavy dumbbell front squat with my heel elevated.
Yeah, those are good.
That was
or like
fun.
on a slant board. I love doing those. Like blows up the quads.
I really enjoyed that.
That's a good one.
But going back to what's safe for, because I work with elders so much, and they're not going to be getting underneath the bar. In fact, their balance is poor already.
Right.
So, any of the machines that are out there, like you were talking about with your isolation stuff, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's a way to get work without having to worry about injury.
When I ask that question, I'm like envisioning like a 50-year-old man who's healthy, just scared to hurt themselves. Box squats are a really good. They're not quite as dangerous as a regular squat because you have that seat at the bottom. You're not having to worry about the change of direction very much, so you can just literally just sit down on the box and squat back up. And you can load up a box squat, and it's pretty safe.
And I like healthy people doing box squats.
Absolutely.
I had it in y'all's program. I think it's a great way to get some explosion at the bottom.
Absolutely. Box squats are great.
I've even seen you, Tyson, using in therapy a little bit, I believe. On some people, and I think I've seen you use it with your clients too, Joe. Of what is it, the TRX straps?
The TRX, yes sir.
TRX squats are great for my old people.
And that was one thing that I think, because bodyweight squats are one thing, but I've had to do some with the TRX, and I can definitely feel more secure. Being somebody that does not have, primo balance myself.
Yeah.
Right.
I've had a 92-year-old man do TRX squats before with me.
He hates killed
them,
it.
But,
He hates it. Well, he wants to skip them, don't he?
He does.
That's the thing about it is it's the things that are the hardest that we need to be doing the most.
Yeah.
That's the whole lesson for the day, pretty much.
That's true.
So let's talk about some reasons why we shouldn't skip leg day. So we've talked about why we do. Now let's talk about why we shouldn't. And number one has to be legs are literally our foundation.
We use it for everything.
Everything.
Like I said, I made the statement earlier, after your leg day, when you feel it the next day, it's when I hit the floor.
Yeah.
The second that I get my legs out of bed, I feel it.
Yeah.
And it's going to be that way until the end of the day.
You can skip upper body day and you probably would never tell. You could never tell besides just being a generally weak person.
Yeah. I mean, working in a field somewhere, having to pick things up, you definitely want upper body strength too.
Well, yeah.
But every time you use your upper body strength, you're also using your lower body.
True.
Yes.
Picking something off the floor to put on the, or off the ground to put in the back of your truck or whatever.
Yeah.
Just from a functional standpoint.
Well, a weak lower body is one of the number one reasons people have to go live in an assisted living center because they can't walk on their own. They can't get off the toilet on their own. So they're our vehicle in this world.
See, and I don't have any, statistics or studies in front of me or anything like that. But yeah, I'm sure the numbers would be astronomical if you took individuals that were actually strength training their lower body, just their lower body alone, compared to to not.
Well, that
and what their end of life looks
like.
That
perfectly talks about my last point, which was or my on the list anyways, is it's extremely protective against injury. So think about an NFL running back and just the tree trunks that they have on their legs and just the massive glutes. And just think about the amount of pressure and force that are being put on them every single day, every single time they're tackled. And yes, they get injured from getting hit from different directions and stuff like that. But it is so protective against injury. So an everyday person, if you can make sure that you have strong legs, when you trip or when you fall, strong legs will keep you from breaking your hip when you're an 80-year-old man or a woman.
It protects your ability to function.
Yeah.
Truthfully.
Yeah. And function, like functional fitness doesn't exist without a strong lower body.
Starts at the base.
Yeah. If you think about functional fitness, you think about, okay, how is my strength, my functional strength, going to help me live during my everyday life?
Yeah.
So whether that's picking something up in the garage or picking something up in the yard or lifting a car off of a baby or whatever, no, that's going to happen without leg day.
That's true. Another thing that I had that comes to my mind right now, and once again, I don't have any science in front of me, but
it's all in your brain, baby.
I know. Well, I've read these things, but I can't just pull them and quote them exactly. Yeah. But like the hormonal responses that comes from directly working with the largest muscle groups, which are our legs, our testosterone levels are highly increased with just doing leg days pretty consistently.
Yeah, there are, like I've seen those same studies that talk about the testosterone levels are so much higher in those that are consistently training legs versus
specifically squats.
Yeah, squat. Oh yeah, it was tied to squats.
Specifically squats, and that's why it's the king of leg day. Yeah, king of lifts. I still give that to deadlifts though.
Squats wear the crown this one time
on this thing.
One time.
Leg workouts burn a ton of calories. So if you're under that mindset of just trying to burn a lot of calories, they're such large muscle groups. When you put them under heavy stress, they are going to burn tons of calories. And that's direct. Like during the workout, you're going to be burning more calories. But after you're going to be putting on major muscle in those legs when you do it often. And they are going to increase your resting metabolic rate, where you're not only burning more calories during your workout, you're burning more calories after your workout while you're sleeping, while you're cooking dinner. I mean, all higher than if you hadn't hit the legs. This last one on this point is, it's almost always the poster child of leg day. You see the guy with the big arms.
He looks like
the wide back,
upside down triangle,
and then they got the little chicken legs.
Yeah.
Whether you care about aesthetics or not, that never looks good.
It's hilarious to see in the gym.
It's funny,
and I will point and laugh.
I would put some long pants on those legs, dude. Don't be showing those little chicken legs off.
Yeah.
It's awkward when you see it kind of. You think, I don't know.
Well, I've never seen a chicken leg dude do any squats. They're always, and I'm in the gym. We work at a gym. We're at the gym every single day. And there's certain individuals that you'll see come in and they'll never touch a leg machine. They'll never touch the barbell with it on their back. They're constantly doing curls, tricep extensions, reverse flies, bench press, of course. Never see it. It shows.
They're training for that portrait picture where it's like waist up.
I guess so.
That's true. So it promotes so much balance and symmetry within a physique, but also just your everyday function like we talked about. Anything else on that, guys?
Well, there's just no excuse for it. I hope they understand that now. That's kind of the lesson that I take from it is once you get to be a seasoned lifter, it's just part of the program. It's just whether you want to or not, you got to do it somewhere.
One thing to throw in there, because I know this is a personal struggle, and Joe, you and I have actually had this conversation. I think Tyson, we've had this conversation too as well. Not only hitting leg day as a form of strength training, but even in like incorporating it in your mobility. Because like if you're someone like me who had a whole lot of stress from a whole lot of weight and mainly got your fitness start through a lot of running, my hip flexors and my calves, my ankle to some extent does not have a lot of mobility.
No.
There's a weakness there.
Yeah.
That if you've seen me squat and you've seen me deadlift and stuff, like you see strength, but the mobility aspect is something I'm missing.
Right.
How important is that factor?
It's extremely important and important. And but it also, like you just said, it's going to highlight those things as well. So whenever you get under a bar, you may not know that you have tight calves or you have poor ankle mobility on just a regular basis. But when you get down there and you try to get underneath a lot of weight, it's going to be pointing that stuff out really quickly.
Yeah.
Find your weaknesses.
Absolutely. That's the biggest thing we need to work with your squat is that ankle mobility.
Yeah.
It's true. That was the thing holding me back from my squat, and that was the first thing I tackled, and it's something I do. And I love this, and I probably need to do a whole episode about this, but one of the best ways to improve flexibility and mobility is strength training.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's not doing a yoga. It's not always doing a yoga class. It's not only doing your static stretching. But I have gained more range of motion in my joints from lifting and full range of motion, not from stretching constantly.
Yeah.
Stretching is good. It has its place. Yoga is great. It has its place. But I have not seen the personal range of motion and mobility gains in just doing the hard lifts in full range of motion safely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, to your point, even being strong in that range of motion is important.
That's what's important. That's the whole goal.
That's the whole goal, right? And so, sometimes these static hold positions don't give you that.
No.
And in fact, that's one of the biggest things that I've changed for myself, but also my fighters that I'm training is dynamic mobility, strength mobility.
Yes.
Because what's the point of being able to get there if you can't do anything in that position?
Range of motion has no benefit if you don't have the strength within that range of motion.
Yeah. That's right. You're right. There's a whole. I could go on a tangent.
I know.
There's a whole episode there.
You go write that one down.
Yeah. Right. So I made a reel about this. I think just a couple days ago, and that was kind of the preface to this whole podcast. Is we don't do leg day, but we know we should be doing it, and that's kind of the whole preface.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, so what is something in our walk with Jesus in faith that we know we should be doing more of, but we have a hard time doing it?
I think that the key part is we know we should be doing it and we're avoiding it.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that screams the word consistency.
Yeah.
So I think when you ask that question, really you can nail that down to anything that we need to be doing with consistency. So as we approach anything moving forward, keep it in that light. Yeah. And I think that opens up a whole lot of things.
Absolutely.
For one, there are the simple and easy answers.
Yeah.
Prayer.
Yeah. Exactly.
The simple and easy answers of, I should probably read my Bible.
Right. Those are easy ones,
and those are things that becomes I'm going to start my day with it. Well, I really should get this cup of coffee. Yeah. Man, I slept through my alarm. I really should get going. Right. I'll do it during lunchtime.
Yeah.
Hey, do you want to go get lunch? Yeah, let's do that. I was going to do this. I'll do it before bed.
Yeah.
And then you hit the pillow and it's done. Mm-hmm. It's sometimes it's just the forgetfulness.
Well, what you just said, reading the Bible, right? Self-study, in my opinion, it would be so important because you spend so much of your time in this field and you're constantly trying to spread the word of God and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. And so many people want to spread it, but they don't even have the knowledge to do so.
Exactly.
Yes.
And they can't articulate and tell you why it's been such an impact in their life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think when you have that time, when you don't take the time, not only self-study but self-examination, to really look at the nitty-gritty of what did I accomplish today, what kind of image or light did I put forth today,
right,
what should I have done,
I have done different. It's not fun to do that every once in a while, but we know the benefit of doing it.
It's not, but it's absolutely, and I'm a firm believer that self-examination just in general should be a regular practice.
Yeah.
Because there's so much that you just learn about yourself from it.
Yeah. One of the biggest ones that came to my brain is just relying on God in the highs and the lows. So it's something that we forget to do all the time. And I even have a tattoo on this about just praising God in the valleys and the mountains. In 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, it says, "Rejoice always, pray without ceasing, and give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Jesus Christ."
Every time I hear that verse, it always makes me think to the youth pastor that I had back in high school and something that he regularly said. Shout out to Daniel.
What's up, Daniel?
What's up, Daniel? But D. Stewart, man, he had this phrase that he always said where he wanted to live his life like an open prayer.
Yeah, that's good.
And that embodied that without ceasing, that from the second that he wakes up to the second that he goes to sleep and everything in between, he wants his life to resemble like an open prayer or open communication with God.
That's good. And that's what it's supposed to look like. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I remember the first time in high school when I just kind of learned what pray without ceasing, man. You know, I read it over and over and over. It's just that, just like what you said. What about sharing your testimony or sharing the gospel with others? A lot of times that's something that every time I do it, I'm so glad I did it. But I have a really hard time making that first step. I think we do that with our leg day for sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's fair. You know, and I'll even like point to myself on that one too. If you know me, socially, in that sense, I am pretty reserved.
Yeah.
I would say, and to some extent an introvert.
Yeah.
I have my extroverted tendencies.
You come out a lot.
There are definitely those moments where I should be more vocal about voicing my testimony or the gospel or share from the word that I've learned through that self-study, and just either miss the boat or don't take the opportunity. Not for any like particular reason, just I don't know, call it convenience sometimes, call it just intimidation of no, I don't. Somebody else can answer this better than me.
Right. Sure.
You know,
it's a confidence issue in a way.
Can you think of a time where you felt the Lord tugging on you to go speak to somebody or go do something from somebody, and you fell through with it or followed through with it? And
you actually did it?
Yeah, and you actually did it. Yeah. I said fell through, but I meant followed through. Yeah,
but followed through with it. Yeah. Actually, I can. There's been several times where being involved in actually an online ministry and having conversations with people on a daily basis, sometimes for hours and hours on end, and just answering their questions and being intentional to be present and to hear them. I've had conversations and not to give too many details, but I've had these moments where there's a person that just leaves you the message of I need help. Yeah. And you're like, do I answer this or do I wait for somebody? And there was one instance where we instantly were like, okay, you know, what can we do? And we hopped in a voice chat talking to somebody from the UK. Wow. At my time would have been like 11:30 to midnight, somewhere in there. And talked for 4 hours with a guy and just shared and loved on them. And the whole context was they said, look, I need help and I'm considering suicide. Yeah. Wow. And that's where I'm at. Wow. Life sucks. This is what I'm going through and I need somebody to talk to.
That's cool.
And immediately me and a few others of my friends actually like came together and met with this person. That's neat. Yeah, so I can definitely think of those times where there's been an intentional follow through that I felt was needed. Yeah, I love when it's happened multiple times for me that I can think of. Just like where, just out of nowhere, you're just driving down the road or you're sitting there watching TV, and you just it's happened to me many times. Just a name pops up in my head, like you should text this person or this and God just puts that on my heart, and I can't tell you how many times I've followed through with that, texted that person, just said, hey, praying for you or thinking for you, just something small like that, and I'll get a call or a text back from them, and they're just like, you have no idea what that did for me. I was in a really hard place when I received that text message or something like that. And the opposite side of that is when you silence that. Whenever you get that feeling, you get that word from the Lord and you silence it, that's a hard thing to live with too, because you never know what, I don't know. I've never regretted following through. Absolutely not. But in those moments where I realized that I should have and didn't, there is always that pain feeling. Yeah. It kind of makes you sick to your stomach a little bit. It does. It does. And to some extent, you almost have to reach a point where you just have a burden for people. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Like a genuine burden for or care for people. Yeah. Tyson feels that burden all the time.
Yeah, heavy.
You have a lot of people in your life relying on you, huh?
Yeah, but that's okay. I've got broad shoulders.
Yes, sir.
You do.
And then, you know, I have my own people that I can rely on too.
Absolutely. So absolutely. Cool.
Find your people.
That's right.
Find your tribe.
That's it.
Absolutely. Guys, thank you so much for hopping on today. I think this was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go hit some legs, everybody.
Do it.
Don't ignore it. Do it more than once a week. Once a week isn't enough.
When you're built like us, you need to.
Yeah. That's why I like full body, because it forces me to hit legs more than once a week.
Yeah.
But I love it. It's so much fun. Where I was 3 years ago, I hated squats with every inch of my being. Now I look forward to it.
Yeah, squats are good.
Yeah.
I see squats in my workout and I smile.
Uh-huh. I got front squats tomorrow morning. I'm excited about it.
Have fun with that.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you guys so much. We can't wait to hear from you again, or from you to hear from us, I should say.
Yep.
Shout
out to us so we can hear from you.
Yes, please do.
Sure.
As always, follow us on social media, share this episode, and go check out the Built Bars. Guys, I got a new flavor yesterday called Coconut Brownie Chunk, and it was so freaking good.
I tried the birthday cake.
That was pretty
yesterday.
good.
Yeah, the birthday cake was
I
good.
enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
Kind of a marshmallow center.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I know.
Tastes good. Different texture.
Yeah. It's like just a really dense marshmallow.
Yeah.
But it's not like overly sticky. That's what I like about it.
It was sweet though too.
The birthday cake one was
It
sweet.
was a
Yeah.
little sweet,
Yeah. Coconut brownie puff. So good.
So buy your Built Bars
Code.
and build your legs better.
That's right. Code POPOD. So it's like the initials for Progressive Overload Pod. That's the code that'll save you 15% at checkout with free shipping.
15%.
15%.
I'm a terrible salesman. I'm just like, it's all right.
It's all right.
It's okay.
Well, to be perfectly upfront, the birthday cake ones I gave to y'all because they weren't my favorite. So I was like, I'll let y'all try these
Really
ones.
sweet.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a way. If you have a sweet tooth and you want
It's
that
great.
sugar,
That's
and then
true,
you
yeah.
still want to get your protein in, I could definitely see that.
160 calories usually, about
For
15
16
16 grams of protein.
Quick, easy, prepackaged.
Yep. Okay.
No
We love you
bad.
all. We'll see y'all next week on the Progressive Overload Podcast. Goodbye.
Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Progressive Overload Podcast. We're honored to be a small part of your day. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or are interested in sponsoring our efforts, please feel free to reach out via email. Find us at progressiveoverloadpod@gmail.com. Don't forget to subscribe and follow our podcast so you'll be notified when our next episode drops.
And as always, you can help us reach the masses by sharing our podcast with your friends and family. And then check us out on Facebook and Instagram to follow our own personal journeys and get an inside look on our day-to-day lives. Thanks again, and we'll see you soon.